嘢。我琴晚咧就喺呢度講完之後咧，我揸車走嘅時候咧，我突然間咧知道我有一度地方係講錯咗。講錯咗喺邊度咧？就係講玄奘大師。玄奘大師咧就係喺中國出發啦，喺中國出發就去印度。咁我咧由細到大都係，我對方向好敏感嘅。但係你唔好同我講東南西北中文或者North East South West 英文，我要諗嘅。咁所以咧，琴晚一諗咧就諗錯咗啦。唔好諗咧就應該冇乜錯。我琴晚揸車翻去嘅時候，咦，我搞錯咗喎。應該咧，玄奘大師就係寧可向西多走一步而死，不可向東土再走一步而生。嗱，我琴晚咧就調轉咗，寧可向東多走一步而死，而死係啦。然後咧就不可向東多向西多走一步而活。我琴日講錯咗，應該係因為中國喺即係當然啦。今日咧就有個信徒就話俾我聽，佢師父啊，你應該都冇錯嘅。今朝有人問我呢個問題，咁啊另外一個信徒係喺另外一個信息就話俾我聽，師父你都冇錯㗎，因為點解？睇下你喺世界邊個地方嘅啫咁。咁我話我好多謝你啊，你為我辯護啊。咁但係因為呢句説話唔係我講嘅，所以我一定係唔啱㗎啦。如果你話係，如果係我講嘅咧，我睇下視乎我哋喺世界邊個地方睇，咁就係可能喺即係如果話我哋喺呢度咁，如果由多倫多咁飛過去嘅話，咁印度確實喺我哋東邊啦。咁但係呢句説話係玄奘大師講嘅，咁所以我琴晚係講錯咗嘅。係玄奘大師就講，寧可向西多走一步而死，不可會向東多走一步而活啊！呢個係玄奘大師講嘅。So last night when I was driving back home, I noticed that I actually said something wrong, and it was already said. So I meant to actually correct myself today. When I was talking about Venerable Xinzhong last night, I said he said that he rather take one step forward to the east to die than taking one step back to the west to live. But instead the direction was wrong. What he said was, I rather take one step to the west and die than taking one step back to the east to live. So the direction was all mixed up. And then a student, a practitioner actually asked me this morning when he asked me through the group, and I said I was going to correct it. But another person actually wrote me in private. She said, "Sifu, you were not wrong because it depends on where you're looking at yourself." I said, "Yes, I'm going to talk. Yes, if you say that it depends on where you are in the world, then I wasn't really wrong. But mind you, I didn't say this. It was Venerable Zhenjiang actually said that. So it was his words, so I cannot change it. So I was wrong last night." So this is, I always remember what my Sifu taught me, or what actually he didn't really teach me per se, but he actually talk about his own experience when he started teaching. He said, at the end of the day, after I taught, I always go back and sort of have a quiet moment to reflect on what I have been talking and whether I have made mistakes. And if I do, and I will correct it next day. It doesn't matter. Even though I'm Venerable Xingyat, I'm a very renowned monk, it doesn't matter. We all make mistakes. So I remember this way back almost like 30 years ago, from 30 years ago. So I remember, so I needed to correct that. I need to admit that was a mistake. Okay, if I don't admit that mistakes, even me don't admit a mistake, and I expect my students to admit the mistakes? No way. Because I presented a very bad example. a role model, right？ 我記得咧，師父老人家佢唔係對我講，佢有一次講開始，佢就話佢自己每一次講完經咧，佢都係夜晚黑翻到去或者即係點樣都係啦嚇。之後佢有少少時間去靜一靜落嚟諗一諗，我今日有冇講錯嘢咧？咁我今日有冇講啲嘢係唔如法嘅咧？咁佢話：如果講咗係有咁嘅話，我第日一定會將佢更正嘅。咁就因為呢師父呢個教導啊，我聽在心入邊。咁而家我自己喺度同大家分享《法華經》啦。咁如果有錯嘅話，一定要更正，喺大眾度話俾大家聽係錯嘅。咁我先至可以點啊？如果我自己都唔去認錯嘅話，咁我點可能要求我啲徒弟去認錯咧？係嘛？冇可能噶。咁所以咧，呢個係琴晚講錯咗嘅。咁我哋今日咧矯正佢，更正佢。So that was a mistake last night. So corrected it today. OK。咁我哋琴晚咧就係講到呢個智慧同慈悲嘅導師就係佛陀第16個王子。第16個王子咁佢好慈悲，佢話：咦，呢啲人行咗咁遠啦，即係等於即係二乘人啦，修行咗咁耐啦，修行咗咁長時間，去到呢個聲聞緣覺嘅果啦。喺呢度佢哋嚟到呢度，佢覺得我唔想再繼續啦，因為前路茫茫，太可惜啦，佢太可惜啦。我點樣可以幫佢哋咧？咁 So last night we stopped here. The Buddha, the 16th Prince monk, he was thinking, wow, these people, talking about the Svaraka, right? Talking about these people who were walking on this lesser path, and they have come so far, and yet the road ahead was still looked very long and still looked very scary. And so they wanted to give up. And the teacher thought, what a pity, what a shame if they are really giving up. So he thought about this. 咁佢就諗啦，佢話我尋時思方便當設神通力，化作大成覺，莊嚴諸舍宅。佢喺嗰陣時就諗啦，尋時思，佢嗰陣時就諗。方便就係一個點啊？一個權法啦。咁大家記得啦，《法華經》係開權顯實啊嘛。權法即係一個方便，即係等於糖衣包住粒藥，等啲細路仔可以好開心咁吞咗粒糖落去，實在係粒藥嚟嘅。尋時思方面去諗下，有啲乜嘢可以方便嘅法門，我可以讓呢一班人行咗咁遠嘅人唔好中途而廢咧。咁佢就用佢嘅神通力啊，點樣啊？就做咗一個化作大成覺，一個好大嘅城市入邊咧就好多好靚嘅屋，有好多好靚嘅花園。咁佢就係嗰個花園咧就好多花好多樹，整到好莊嚴、好漂亮、好吸引。So this very wise and compassionate teacher thought, what can I do? Then he thought of a skillful means. Remember, the Lotus Sutra is using skillful means to actually attract those people who are on the lesser path to come close, and then using the skillful means to present to them the one Buddha way. So it's just like this sugar-coated medicine. So that the child would say, oh, nice, this is a candy, so just swallow it. But actually, inside the sugar-coated is actually the medicine that is going to cure their illnesses. So then this compassionate teacher thought of a skillful means. So he used his supernatural power, the divine powers. So he conjured up a great wall castle city with really nicely decorated houses, with a lot of gardens and beautiful trees and shrubs and flowers. And you can imagine a compassionate and wise teacher conjure up such a beautiful city and so appealing. Then then the inside of this castle Castle City has a lot of things, okay? So let us look at this castle city. 好，得我哋睇睇下呢個城係點樣嘅。佢話周集有園林、渠流及浴池，重門高樓閣，男女皆充滿。So this castle city is surrounded with gardens and groves, brooks and ponds, with double, or it should actually be multiple or heavy, gates and tall pavilions. It's not double. That translation, I have some reservation on that translation. It was filled with both men and women. So he said, that doesn't look like a very appealing city. 好似睇佢唔係好吸引啫，渠流及浴池啊嚇。Okay, let's look at these individually. Okay, 我哋逐句嚟睇睇。佢係周集有園林啊，周集有園林咧，即係周圍咧有園林啊。呢個園林咧，即係解乜嘢咧？即係解咧有好多善嘅法喺度啊。So surrounded with gardens and groves, what does it mean by that? Gardens, what does it mean by that? It means that the whole place is actually surrounded with a lot of wholesome teachings. That's why it's so beautiful. Okay? 渠流及浴池 brooks and ponds. 渠流係解乜嘢咧？渠流係解嗰個九次定，即係由初禪得到九禪九定。咁嘅浴池咧就解乜嘢咧？浴池咧係浴池啊嘛，要係沖涼噶嘛，浴池係咪？即係話係潔淨嘅，係過濾嘅，係沉澱嘅。當一個人能夠修一個沉澱法、一個過濾法嘅話，即係話一個人係慢慢點啊，從自己嘅身對自己嘅身嘅執着，對自己我見嘅執着，慢慢可以將佢減低、放低落嚟。對時間、對空間嘅執着，亦都慢慢放低、減低落嚟。對人我法嘅批判，亦都可以減低、放低落嚟。咁實在呢個浴池咧，係總共咧係可以解釋係八層嘅解脫法，八種解脫法。咁呢個八解脫法實在好長嘅，我唔一一去再講。有機會我可以講，或者你哋有機會去上網去睇睇呢個八解脫法解咩意思？呢個浴池就代表八種嘅解脫方法。咁呢個就係渠流及浴池咁解啦。So the brooks and the ponds, what does it mean? The brooks means there is actually the nine jhanas, the 9 stages of jhanas. So and the ponds are used actually here in the Chinese word. It really just doesn't mean ponds. It means like bathing ponds. So the bathing ponds, what's the bathing ponds for? It's for cleansing. It's for purification. It's for cleaning up, right? So it is actually more logical if it is bathing ponds. If it is just ponds, it doesn't seem to be as relevant to this as the Chinese. Because of this bathing ponds, one is able to actually cleanse oneself, to purify oneself. And when one is able to cleanse and purify, one is able to start to be less judgmental, to be less attached to views, to be less attached to our existence, to be less attached to space and time. Because one starts to see the emptiness, the space in between. So that actually this bathing ponds is an analogy of the 8 stages of liberation. But it's very in order to, if I need to explain the 8 stages of liberation, it's going to be take 2-3 hours. So I'm not going to explain that. So you may want to look it up on the internet, or maybe in some stage in the future I would have time. We can actually go through these 8 stages of liberation. So that is what is meant by the bathing ponds, okay? 重門高樓閣. So the heavy gates, 重門高樓閣. So the heavy gates and the high pavilions, or the double or the multiple gates and the tall pavilions. 重門高樓閣究竟點解呢？如果大家係有喺佛堂上過早課嘅咧，佢話三門個楞嚴咒入邊啊，三門清淨絕非餘，係咪啊？係，突然間我唔記得嘅。咁啊好啦，實在係三門，唔係山門，記住唔係山丘嘅山，係3、1、2、3嘅三。咁實在三門係解釋咩意思呢？有意思嘅。三門就係重門，重門就係三門。喺寺廟入邊咧，你見咧大部分都係有3個門嘅，1重門、2重門、3重門咁樣上啊。第一重門叫空門 ，that's a 3 layers of gates, or 3 tiers of gates, or 3 multiple of gates. So there's 3 gates. The first gate is sunatta, the gate of sunatta. That means emptiness. And then 第二個門咧叫無相門。無相門咧，無相門即係話我哋唔執着個相嘅。譬如我唔執着人相、人相、眾生相、壽者相、我相，或者我唔執着男相、女相，或者我唔執着如月相、不如月相。呢個就係叫相嚇，無相門。所以第二重門叫無相門。So the second gate is animitta. So without nimitta. What is nimitta? Nimitta is a form. When you go into very deep meditation, you will have sometimes you will be able to have this nimitta, a form, a presentation. Then the nimitta is not necessarily a form, it could be a sensation. Right? If you can focus a very in for example for the breath, if you focus here, then the pinpointedness is a nimitta. And also the light, you might see a bright light, is nimitta. You may feel that there's sort of like a cloud here, and that is also nimitta. But this is within nimitta, a nimitta. Anamitta, that means within nimitta. So that means there is what? You don't attach to that view of there is a form. Yeah? Or there is a presentation. So this is the second gate. So understand? 2 gates. 第三個門就叫無欲門，或者叫無願門。第三個叫無欲門，或者叫無願門。或者叫無作門，咁即係話點？即係點樣啊？喺我哋喺呢個三界入邊，我哋成日都係有願有求嘅。但係如果我哋真係要出呢個三界嘅話咧，我哋係要點樣啊？唔好作有願有求有欲有想嘅嘢。當我哋有願有求有欲有想嘅話，我哋就會繼續喺呢個生死業入邊繼續做啦。繼續做呢個生死業啊！咁你話哇，咁冇願冇作，咁我即係唔使搞啦？唔係，即係唔使發願啦，唔使做計劃啦，乜都唔使，唔係咁嘅意思。而係話你有願，但係你唔好要捉住你要幾時要圓滿呢個願，你呢個願要點樣要圓滿？唔係。你話我發唔發願行菩薩道？要發願行菩薩道，但係唔係日日喺嗰度發，我幾時成菩薩啊？唔係咁樣。係你要做啊，切實落實去做啊！咁當你能夠切實去做嘅時候，你先至點啊？你先至會真係一步一步邁向菩薩道嘛？唔係話你想就得㗎，你想只係喺度求啊，一味喺度求，一味求成菩薩道或者行菩薩道，而你唔去做嘅話，冇意思㗎，係咪啊 So the third one is apranihita. Apranimita, that means without desires, or without vows, or without wishes. That means also is emptiness. So you will think, oh, then I don't need to plan. I don't need to have a vow, or maybe I vow to be a Bodhisattva. That means I don't need to vow to be a Bodhisattva. You need to vow to be a Bodhisattva, but you don't actually always expect and anticipate that vow to be fulfilled or to be materialized. Right there, right here. When is my vow going to be materialized? Then when you have such thought all the time, that means you are actually what? You are actually planting the seeds of life and rebirth. You are constantly running around in samsara because you always wish that vow to be materialized. 咁第四句偈佢話男女皆充滿，呢個男女你唔好咁快脆一落去就話哇點解佛陀喺度咁講，整個化成出嚟有男女嘅，唔係咁嘅意思啊。所以我話《法華經》係好深嘅，點解？呢個男代表智慧，女代表慈悲。所以喺呢個化成入邊啊，有慈悲同埋有智慧喺度。唔係有男或者女啊！喺一個化成入邊，如果佛陀用佢個咁大嘅神通去化出嚟嘅話，佢唔會讓我哋擠落去有個男相女相嘅，唔會讓我哋執着有男相女相啊。Okay, so the last one is it was filled with both men and women. You will think, what? In the castle city, you got women and men there? What's going on, right? No, I tell you, no. We talk about this compassion and wisdom inside this castle. All right? So you can see just these few verses. Actually, there is a very deep meaning. Oh, okay. 我好似仲未講樓閣喎，嗬。高樓閣啊 ，pavilions。我未講高樓閣啊。高樓閣即係解乜嘢咧？即係解咧。喺呢度入邊啊，喺呢度入邊啊，嗰啲喺呢度入邊嘅所有嘅法啊，佢哋聽到嘅法啊，都能夠點樣啊？都能夠可以咧超越呢個生死度外嘅。啊，即係話，如果你喺呢個喺個化城入邊聽到所有嘅法咧，都能夠可以超越生死度外嘅。So the top pavilions means all the dharmas that these people are able to receive while they are inside the castles, all these dharma excels everything, excels all the other teachings that are being taught by the non-Buddhist way. So that means it surpasses all the other teachings. Okay. All right, so that's the meaning of all these four verses. 咁我哋睇到呢四句偈頌嗰個意思啦，嚇。Okay, next one. 咁呢個老師咧就勸佢哋啦，勸佢哋嗱，你哋咧嗱，我呢家呢度入邊有個好好嘅成覺啊嚇，化成啊，你哋咧唔使驚啊，為眾言勿懼啊，汝等入此城，各可隨所樂。嗱，你哋入去啦，你入去休息下啦，入邊咧有好多嘢，你哋隨得你哋中意點樣，你哋自己可以作選擇噶咁。所以咧，呢個老師咧就安慰呢好多一大眾嘅人啊。So the teacher actually comforted the group and reassured them. They said, there is this castle city. And you just go in there, don't be afraid. Just go in there, don't be afraid. You can enter this city and enjoy yourselves as you like. Whatever you want is in there, they will have it. So just go in there, just go in there. So this is reassuring the group that, they can go and rest and have fun inside this castle city. 咁呢個有智慧嘅老師就同呢啲人講：你入去咧休息一下，享受一下啦嚇，入去呢個大城市入邊咁。咁呢啲人咧就 呢啲人咧就見到個化城咧，就佢哋唔知係化城嚟噶嘛，佢以為前邊真係有個咯喎，咁我哋真係去啦，好啦，咁好開心啦，就雖然話好攰啦都快啲趕住去嗰度啦，因為佢哋聽到呢個老師咁講一個城入邊有咁多嘢可以滿足到佢哋。So even though these group of people are very tired, and when the teacher said, "You see, the city is just right in front of you. Just go in there, and inside is everything." So they were sort of looking forward to it. Like when we are tired, and then your guide said, "We'll be there soon. You'll be there. Once you get there, you can rest and you can have a Coke and you can have whatever You just take just a few more minutes." So the people were really trying very hard to get to this city, Castle City, as soon as possible. So when they enter there, they feel very, very calm. 當佢哋入咗去嘅時候啊，諸人既入城，心皆大歡喜啊！皆生安忍上，智慧已得道。佢哋入咗去之後咧，哇！因為好攰嘛，入咗去見到哇呢個城郭咁靚喎，係咪啊？點樣啊？個城郭幾靚啊！哇！莊嚴諸舍宅，周集有園林，渠流及浴池，重門高樓閣，男女皆充滿。哇！佢哋真係好開心啦，見到比佢哋剛剛行嗰條路嘅時候，嗰啲路係點樣啊？又直。又無水草，又怖畏，又險，又曠遠，又無人，乜都係全部都好似負面嘅。但係去到呢個化城入邊，就覺得哇，好安樂啊，好安樂，好自在啦。咁就覺得，我已經到達啦，智慧已得到，我已經到達咗呢個目的地啦。咁就好開心喺度享受呢個目的地，佢以為目的地俾佢嘅嘢啦，咁 So when they enter this city, all their hearts were filled with great joy because what? All these pavilions, all these high gates, and all these trees and shrubs, and all these men and women, they were ecstatic with joy, and then all kinds of music, right? And so they were so elated, and they felt so happy and calm and comfortable, and thinking that they have arrived, then they have been saved from this very steep and sad and dangerous road or journey that they have been on. So they think that, oh well, I've been saved and I have reached the destination. And when I it's just there was this thought just came up was when we first came here 25 years ago, and 23 years ago, Sifu came to Vancouver to give a teaching in Vancouver. And I remember at that time that somebody wanted to actually renounce with taking Sifu as a teacher. And Sifu said to her, and said, I will take you in, but remember, after you have shaven, don't ever think that you have arrived to your destiny. It is just the beginning of your journey. And of course, there was there was a very deep meaning behind what he said. But what he said there, it was an evening after he actually taught, and when we always gather around him and listen to what he has to further say to us, and that's what he said. And it carried very deep meaning because it actually, I could actually feel why, I actually understood why he said that. A lot of people think, after they renounce, they have shaven their head and they have taken the precepts and that's it. I'm a monastic. and that's it. That is not it. That is not it. That is really just the beginning of a very, very long and very long journey. Because why do we need to renounce? Because we want to walk on this path to the final goal. And being a monastic is really just the very first step on this path. Let alone you mundane people. I'm not belittling you, but it's really a long path, and this is just the beginning. And you all still have family responsibilities, right? And at least we are out of that mundane world into this super mundane, out of that mundane family and into this monastic family. And it's just the beginning. It's really a long road. 我睇呢句嘅偈嘅時候，我想起我師父曾經喺20幾年前，有人求師父出家嗰陣時，師父喺溫哥華講經。嗰晚聽到師父講師父話出家咧，唔好以為剃咗頭咧，剃咗頭就係已經達到目的地咧，已經去到目的地咧。嗰陣時先至係個開始咧。出家剃咗頭先至啱啱係一個開始啊，唔係已經到達啊。佢話點解要出家？就因為我哋想走在成佛之道。咁有乜可能一剃咗頭就已經去到成佛咧？係咪？仲有好長好難嘅路要行啊！咁所以啦你哋大家身為在家人有家庭嘅責任重任咁仲更加多包袱孭住啦，係嘛？我哋嚟咗呢個在家嘅家庭，入到呢個僧團都唔容易，咁何況大家仲有咁多嘅世俗嘅責任咧咁。So thinking that they have been saved, that was a very wrong view 想諗到自己智慧已得到一個好錯嘅觀念咁實在呢個化城嘅真相究竟係點呢？ What is the truth about this castle city？ 佢係導師知識意，集眾意告言汝等當前進，此事化城意呢個有智慧嘅導師話知識嘅，即係話知道佢哋已經休息好。識字呢，即係話你睇到咧，你睇到我哋譬如我哋學打坐咧，有一個觀識法，識實在唔係氣唔係打氣。識即係話喺入息同出息中間嗰個停止嗰個叫識又或者咧呢個識亦都可以解釋咧係安靜，可以點樣可以讓你成長讓你成長呢個識字實在係好多意義嘅。咁呢個知識意即係話導師咧呢個知道佢哋已經點安定咗落嚟啦，靜咗落嚟啦。咁咧就同佢哋集合佢哋埋啦打當叫佢合埋嚟啦佢話你哋應該要繼續前進因為呢個係乜嘢？呢個係我變化出嚟嘅成嚟嘅，呢個係我變化出嚟嘅成嚟嘅，呢個唔係真實嘅。呢個先至係呢個化城嘅真相，係虛幻嘅係虛妄嘅，唔係真實嘅。So when the guide knew these people were all rested. This rested means that they have calmed down, they become more comfortable, they become more subdued, and then he assembled them and rang the gong and assembled them and said, you should start to go forward because this city, this castle city, is only a fantasy. It's only a delusion, like the mirage on the road on a very summer hot day. The mirage is a fantasy. It's not a real thing. OK 即係等於好似我哋 空中樓閣啊，或者我哋揸車嘅人就知啦，喺一個好熱嘅日頭咧，如果你揸車咧，你望遠啲嘅話咧，前邊有一大陣水氣咁啊，實在嗰個係幻覺嚟㗎，幻化㗎。去到嘅時候，你點解冇水氣㗎？係幻化㗎嚇。所以呢個係幻化嘅城，唔係真實嘅。So this is a fantasy. It's not a real castle city. It's something that I conjured up for the sake of you to get rest. 可見與彼極中路欲退還啊，故以方便力權化作此城啊。佢話因為我見到你哋好攰啊，我見到你哋好攰啊，喺半路咧你想放棄啊，所以咧我以一個方便啊，用一個神通變化一個城出嚟，讓你哋可以休息啊。佢話 Seeing that you were exhausted and wanted to turn and give up, I used my power of skillful means to conjure up this castle city for the time being so that you can take a break and rest。實在大家都睇到啦，大家睇到呢個老師啊幾慈悲，幾有智慧佢喺呢度見到眾生需要乜嘢，佢就變化乜嘢俾呢個眾生，讓呢個眾生點樣唔好放棄，唔好走回頭路。So you can see how compassionate, how wise this teacher was. He knew what the beings, all these sentient beings needed. And at that time, he conjured up. He actually created this castle city, this fantasized castle city, so that he knew these people will be very happy in there. And so they are able to rest and recover it. Once they are recovered, they have this energy, and they would be able to go on. 當佢能夠休息完嘅時候，點樣啊？佢好似叉完電啊嘛，係咪啊？好似你個電話咁，叉完電嘅時候，你又可以繼續用啦。好似你個電腦咁，叉完電時候又繼續可以睇啦。如果唔叉電嘅話，咪死咗，咪冇嘢睇咯。佢知道啦。OK，so the next step he actually 繼續落咧，佢就話勸喻呢班人繼續要精進前往啦。So he advised they strive forward diligently. 佢話如今勤精進，當共至寶所啊。佢話 Now you must try very hard so that altogether you can reach the place where the treasure is. 你記得嘛？當共至寶所，你記得我琴日講嗰個寶所係乜嘢？嗰個寶所就係佛嘅境界，去到佛㗎，達到佛位啦或者嗰條路去到佛位嗰條路So what is this treasure? Remember the first slide I showed yesterday. Why did I put it in the first slide? But it was only in the third verse. It talked about the treasure. The treasure is the Buddha path or the attainment of Buddhahood. OK， 所以佛陀實在喺嗰刻呢個咁有智慧嘅老師佢知道啲眾生嗰個頑劣，眾生嗰個脆弱，佢知道如果佢唔將呢個化成真係化出嚟嘅話，唔以一個方便力做出呢個化成嘅話，呢啲眾生一定會點樣中間一定會放棄，而佢係好可惜會浪費咗佢哋前邊嘅功夫啦，前功盡廢。咁所以咧佛陀咧等佢哋去到呢個化成，實在呢個化成就係講乜嘢？就講呢啲人去到二乘人去到得到聲聞緣覺位，佢哋聲聞緣覺嘅涅槃係同佛嘅涅槃、同阿羅漢嘅涅槃、同菩薩嘅涅槃係唔同。當然最終嘅一定係佛涅槃啊！三藐三菩提、三藐三佛陀嗰個三藐三菩提嗰個先至係最終嘅涅槃。 呢個叫大涅槃，大波涅槃就係咁樣解嘅，就係佛入涅槃叫大波涅槃。平時嗰啲叫有餘涅槃，佛嗰個叫無餘涅槃，即係冇嘢仲要再去處理㗎啦。咁所以啊，佛陀呢個智慧嘅老師就係知道呢個二乘人去到嗰度已經覺得夠滿足啦。佢所以要勸佢哋唔得啊！你哋未呢個係方便法，令到你哋嚟到呢度嘅咋。你要再去前邊，你先至真真正正可以達到寶所，去到真正佛位啊。So here the Buddha said, now you must try very hard. Why do they need to try very hard? They already are there. But you see, this is the nirvana that the lesser vehicles have attained. This is not the Maha Nibbana, as the Samyutta Buddha actually has attained. So the Nibbana that the lesser vehicle attained is very different from the Nibbana that the Arahant attained. The Nibbana that Arahant attained is very different, is way different than the Nibbana that the Bodhisattva attained. And the Nibbana that the Bodhisattva attained is way much inferior than the Bodhisattva that the Buddha attained, or the Samyutta attained. So it's actually there is actually very different stages of Nibbana, or Nirvana, you want to call it. Okay, so the Buddha said, the teacher said, this is not the ultimate goal. You haven't reached there. You need to continue forward. You need to strive forward. You need to go on diligently. So the Buddha, the teacher said, you are not liberated yet. 見諸求道者，終路而懈廢啊！不能度生死，煩惱諸險道啊！睇到呢啲求道嘅人啊，中間去放棄啊！不能度生死，喺呢個生死輪迴入邊啊，不停咁輪轉啊，煩惱諸險道，不停喺呢個煩惱入邊啊，喺呢條咁危險嘅路上面，不停走來走去，來來往往，來來往往。我哋咪就好似我哋咁啫嘛。我哋多生多世就喺呢個生死輪迴入邊，我哋都未去到二乘嘅果啊，係嘛？實在講緊係我哋啊！我哋係咪求道？我哋有求道啊！我哋有學佛啊，受五戒啊、持素啊、受八關齋戒啊、受三昧戒、受比丘尼戒、受比丘戒。但係我哋中路而懈廢啊！我哋成日都點啊？成日都懈怠，成日都荒廢。點解懈怠荒廢？因為我哋太多煩惱啊！我哋每一個煩惱一生起嘅時候啊，我哋就係懈怠，我哋就係荒廢啦。所以我哋不停喺呢條路上邊啊，來來回回咁走啊，來來回回咁走啊，就好似一個迴旋處咁啊，揾唔到出路嘅。So the teacher said, I see the seekers of the way. That means practitioners who wanted to take this path and becoming discouraged midway through and unable to cross the steep road of birth and death and afflictions. It's actually talking about us. We are not even there. And these are actually directed by the teacher to the lesser vehicles, the Sravaka, and those, they attained Nibbana in their capacity. We haven't even reached there yet. And even the teacher advised them, you still need to go further on. And think of ourselves. Don't we need to go further on? Don't we need to strive more? Don't we need to be more diligent? But yet we become discouraged all the time. Nobody discourages us, we discourage ourselves. You see why we are actually constantly going back and forth on this path of life and death? We are constantly bound in this roundabout, never be able to find an exit out. We are not liberated yet. Don't ever have that thought that, oh, well, big deal. You have taken 5 precepts. You have taken 8 precepts. You have taken bhikkhunis, bhikkhus precepts. Big deal. Still have a long way to go. Come back down here. Be humble. Be humble. 故意方便力為息說涅槃言語等苦滅所作皆已辦。佢話所以我以一個方便嘅法門為你哋等你哋休息等你哋同你哋講涅槃話俾你聽你個苦已經滅晒啦，實在未係所作皆已辦呢個唔係呢個唔係佢話 So by the power of skillful means I taught Nibbana so they could hear, they could rest, saying your suffering is ended, you have finished your work. This is just a skillful means. 呢個係一個方便呢個係糖衣嚟㗎咋，一個糖衣包住粒藥唔好以為食咗落去你就全部好返晒啦唔好以為到個化城啦，我哋就已經所作皆辦啦，我已經無有後顧之憂啦。唔係我哋仲未到我哋仲未到寶所So remember, this is a skillful means. It's a candid medicine. Candid coated medicine. And so the teacher actually taught Nibbana so that we could rest, so that we don't worry about the future road because it's endless road. So we thought we are there, we could rest, and we thought we had liberated from all the sufferings. We haven't. This is just a skillful means. Okay? 所以法華經講開權顯實用一個方便法門實在話俾我哋聽諸佛方便力分別說三乘唯有一佛乘，悉處故說二佢話所有嘅佛諸佛所有嘅佛過去佛、未來佛、現在佛分別說三乘，一路個個都喺度講三乘法二乘菩薩乘聲聞緣覺菩薩乘，佢話但係唯有一佛乘，只有佛乘悉處故說二因為點樣因為呢個方便等你哋休息，我先至說呢個二乘法宣講呢個方便呢個所以叫開權顯實就係用一個方便嘅法門，讓你哋休息咗，讓我哋休息咗。安樂咗之後，先至同我哋講呢個大乘嘅法門So through their powers of skillful means, all the Buddhas make distinctions and teach these 3 vehicles. But there is really only one Buddha vehicle. It is for resting place that the other 2 are taught. This is easier to understand in English. In Chinese, it's a little bit more difficult. So it's a convenient way, it's a skillful means that the Buddha, all the Buddhas in the past, all the Buddhas in the future, all the Buddha in this present moment taught this as a skillful means so that about this lesser vehicle, so that we could rest and we could actually be nourished and we could actually start again. So that he has a chance to tell us this one Buddha vehicle, this great vehicle. So the whole Lotus Sutra is talking about this skillful means. Okay? 所以整本法華經就係同我哋講方便。呢個方便就係講呢個三乘法、二乘法、三乘法實在係有我哋去修大乘法、一乘法。So the skillful means is actually try to not. I don't want to use the word tempt. Attract us to actually practice the great vehicle. Okay. So the Buddha said, or the teacher said, 今為汝說實，汝所得非滅啊！為佛一切智，當發大精進。佢話：我今次而家同你講實法啦，講大乘法啦。所以啊，你要知道啦，你要知道啊，你而家所得到嘅係仲未係一個究竟嘅啊！要真係真真正正得到佛陀如佛一切智，好似佛陀嗰種一切種智嘅話呢，你要真真正正要好好努力大精進，就好似諸大菩薩咁啊，好似地藏菩薩咁啊，啊眾生未度啊，終身度盡方證菩提啊，地獄未空啊，誓不成佛啊，呢、這個叫做大精進啊。觀音菩薩啊，點樣啊？千處祈求千處應啊，苦海常作渡人舟啊。千處祈求千處應啊，即係話好多地方一齊求你，你一切都要去點啊？去幫佢哋。呢、這個就係諸菩薩嘅大精進。我哋有冇諸菩薩大精進？我哋連小精進都未算得上啊，何況大精進呢？Now I teach the truth for you. What you have reached is not extinction, not extinction of all the defilements. You haven't reached the final goal of the final nibbana. In order to gain a Buddha's comprehensive wisdom, not just simple wisdom, you have to make a great effort. A great effort, like all the Bodhisattva. The great effort, we haven't even, our effort is not even a great effort. Not even saying the Buddha's effort or the Bodhisattva effort. And what is that great effort means? Look at Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. What is his great effort? Is until the health realm is empty, he will not attain Buddhahood. That is great effort. Until all the suffering sentient beings are liberated, then he will attain a Buddhahood. That is great effort. And the great effort of Guan Yin菩薩, the great compassionate Bodhisattva, what is the great effort of Guan Yin菩薩? 千處祈求千處應啊 1,000 requests, 1,000 response. That means 1,000, that means infinite, that means a lot of requests, of callings from suffering beings, calling for the help, calling for the support, calling for the encouragement from all the Bodhisattva. There's thousands of callings and thousands of responses. You can see that is called great effort. Ours is nothing, not even a drop in the ocean. Don't mention about when you want to compare with the great effort of Bodhisattva. It's incomparable. Okay? So the teacher said, then you will arrive to the place of treasures. 諸佛之導師為識說涅槃啊，既知是釋義，引入於佛位啊。The Buddhas as guides teach nirvana to provide rest. Remember this nirvana is the nirvana of the lesser vehicles. But seeing that you have rested, they lead you on to the Buddha wisdom. 所有嘅佛啊，諸佛啊，所有嘅佛啊，係導師啊，佢哋以導師嘅身份啊，佢教我哋乜嘢？佢俾我哋知道二乘嘅涅槃啊，二乘嘅涅槃係讓我哋有得休歇啊，有得休息啊，有得停頓啊，有得叉電啊。當佢睇到我哋叉咗電啊，有得休息咗嘅時候，佢點樣啊？佢再鞭策我哋，再引導我哋入乜嘢？入最終嘅智慧。大智慧，佛嘅智慧就係大乘法，就係大乘法。So the Buddha as a very compassionate and wise teachers, he actually taught us this nirvana of the lesser vehicles so that we could rest. After we rest, after we were being nourished, after we recharge ourselves, then he started teaching us this great vehicle, the one Buddha vehicle, so that we eventually will be able to attain this Buddha wisdom. That is the whole idea of this conjured up castle city. 呢個就係整個化城點解有個化城出嚟嘅原因。So you remember this Buddha？ 你記得呢個佛啦，嗬？寶林嘅佛啦。This is the Buddha to be in the future Dharma hall。大家都要知道喺呢個化城喻品嗰度，實在佛陀、諸佛菩薩、諸佛就話俾我哋知，佢睇到我哋嘅心性，佢睇到我哋嘅心性好弱，佢睇到我哋嘅心性好害怕、好懈怠，我哋得少少就為知足啦。我哋唔想再行啦。喺呢個化城喻品咧，就話俾我哋聽，我哋唔好滿足於少少而懈怠而放棄，因為真係只有去到佛位，去到修佛成，我哋先至真係真真正正能夠了生脫死。如果唔係嘅話，我哋只會繼續迷，我哋永遠都唔會悟啊！如果我哋繼續迷嘅話，即係話我哋喺呢個生死呢個大海入邊繼續漂浮，我哋永遠去唔到彼岸。So this parable of the conjured castle city actually told us the Buddha or the teachers, all the teachers actually saw that all the sentient beings are very weak. All the sentient beings are very slacking. All the sentient beings, they didn't know that everything is so imminent. So that's why they slack off. That's why they are so happy that they had this little achievement, then they think that they have achieved a big deal. So in this year, the Buddha, the teachers actually conjured up this castle city and to show us that even with the lesser vehicles, the nirvana in the lesser vehicles is not the ultimate. And they all wanted us to see this. And they all wanted us to keep striving forward and not be easily given up and not be indulged in those fogginess, in those haziness, in those mistiness anymore. And they all wanted us to really be enlightened, really wanted us to realize, to become realized and to become free. And this whole chapter is actually told us that the only way that we can become liberated is really walking on this path to real Buddhahood, not be satisfied with those lesser ones, lesser attainments. And only when you are able to really attain that Buddha wisdom, walking on this path, that you will be able to ultimately able to liberate yourself. Otherwise, there is no other way. And the Buddha has given us a correct path to arrive to this final goal, to this full liberation. But because we are so ignorant and we are so blind and we are so timid and so lazy, we give up so easily. So I hope that after listening to this fantasized, conjured up castle city story, it gives us a little booster shot that for the rest of my life or for the rest of our life, I vow to actually work more diligently. I hope. Okay. And 我好希望啦嚇，我哋聽完呢個化城喻品啊， 好希望咧，我哋知道咧，佛陀即係過去所有諸佛都俾咗一條好正確嘅路俾我哋睇，好正確嘅路俾我哋行。我希望佢係希望，即係希望我哋能夠真真正正能夠了生脫死、離苦得樂。我哋唯有真係走在呢條成佛之道之上，我哋先至真係有機會向呢個地方，而真正機會有機會達到呢個目的。但係因為我哋咁多無明，我哋咁多無知，我哋咁多懈怠，我哋咁害怕受苦，我哋咁害怕困難，所以我哋係好容易放棄。我哋得少少就以為我哋已經得到好多，所以咧我哋就係以少為足嘅時候咧，我哋就一定唔會得到解脫啊！所以當我哋我好希望大家能夠聽完呢個化城喻品之後咧，就能夠可以好似打咗支強心針咁。打咗支強心針咧，就希望就點啊？我哋能夠發大願，讓我哋咧可以利用我哋呢個餘生啊！我哋淨得冇幾多個餘生嘅，即係呢個有段嘅生死啊！嚇，我哋唔係淨得好多時間嘅。但係無論淨到幾多時間，如果我哋知道我哋呢個生命係咁無常變化嘅話，我哋係咪應該真係要剔起個心肝呢？剔起心肝呢，就係俾心機精進，唔好再浪費我哋嘅生命呢。咁呢個係即係呢個化城喻品嘅苦咩心苦肺腑之言啊！So this is the really wonderful compassionate words of this parable. Why the Buddha actually talk about this parable? Okay, so that's it. Finish on time. So you understand? 你哋聽得明嗎？聽得明嗎？ Okay? Is everything okay? 實在咧譚師傅琴晚同我講，佢話：哇，師傅你趕唔趕得切㗎？你要講7個月喎，即係要講埋晒。我話我唔知㗎，我本來係預備講晒佢㗎，但係咁講咧就有排都講唔完咁啊。咁啊，但係我話實在好容易講嘅啫。如果我真係要講咧，我可以半個鐘頭，我15分鐘可以講完一個譬如㗎。我唔引個經文出嚟，我就唔使講咁多嘢㗎啦。我淨係講俾咧，呢個故事講，好快15分鐘我哋就可落堂啦，係咪啊？但係我話如果咁嘅就即係你喺個經文嗰度咧，就睇唔到個經文同我哋講幾多嘢嘅。所以個經文講咗好多嘢，我只係將個經文入邊的咁多攞出嚟同大家分享，即係話俾你聽。呢個化城喻品係講咁啊，又係個經文又引經據典。就如果真係淨係講個故仔，好容易講啫嘛，真係10零分鐘可以講完㗎啦。咁所以嗱，你可以選擇我繼續以咁嘅方式引經據典咁講啊，因為我淨係同你講故仔，你可以選擇。So last night 譚師傅 said, "Wow, 師傅 are you going to able to finish?" I said, "I don't know. I was going to finish this, but the way it goes, I don't think so." But I said, you know what? Because I'm using so much of the sutra to come and explain, to actually to illustrate what this parable meant. I said many people actually just spend 10 minutes, finish the parable, and that's it, right? I can finish the 7 parables in one night. 我可以一晚講晒7個譬喻品㗎，完全可以 ，no problem. So you want to listen to all the 7 parables in one night, or you want the way that we have been going? Which way? This way or this way? This way or this way? 7個品一晚講晒 7 in one night? 唔好啊！You like this? 你中意咁樣聽嘛？Okay, this way, all right. Okay. 咁可能講唔晒啊，不過我會 try our best。我講唔晒，我咪揾一晚真係淨係講埋佢咯 ，right？ 嚇，if I really cannot finish, then after the auspicious ceremony, I'll find a night, one evening, and then we'll finish it. OK？ 如果我真係講唔得晒嘅話，我就揾一晚我哋就講埋佢。過完呢個大吉祥法會，咁我哋就揾一晚，我哋邊晚講埋第幾多數都講唔晒㗎啦。不過嘗試一下啦，好唔好啊 ？OK， 嗱，如果你哋中意咁聽嘅，咁我咪繼續咁講啦。如果我差唔多已經做晒功課㗎啦，我實在仲有一個譬喻未做好嘅功課。I'm almost done. I still one more parable to prepare. But one parable it takes me 3 days. 一個喻品啊，講一喻啊，我要做3日，每日差唔多要8個鐘頭。Almost 8 hours a day and 3 days。真係唔係容易講啊！如果搬字過紙就好容易講啊！So 所以好希望你哋能夠聽到咧，唔係淨係開心，而係真係要受用。I wish that you don't just enjoy and forget. I want you to enjoy and remember and practice. 我想你哋聽得好開心，同埋記得，最重要就係要做啊！咁先至對得起我啊！先至對得起諸佛菩薩。And you know, then you can be grateful to me and also grateful to all the Buddha and Bodhisattvas. OK， 知道嗎 ？OK， yes 。All right。OK， 我哋回向咧。So we dedicate our merits。願以此功德普及於一切我等與眾生，皆共成佛道。May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the living beings together will attain the Buddha way. 好。So, thank you. Next slide, please. Such a beautiful style. You're not going to play? 係。好靚啊！呢張雲燈俾你知唔知係邊度嚟㗎？係大禪堂嚟㗎，係大禪堂一個上個禮拜15嗰陣時影嘅我。係你見到大禪堂仲鋪緊上邊嘅岩啊！ So you can see is the Great Meditation Hall, the east corner of the Great Meditation Hall. You can see the full moon. It was taken last week. 好靚啊 ！It's pretty. It's very nice. 好啦，聽晚見啦，好嘛 ？OK， 聽晚見啦。Good night。